Okay guys, what's up? I'm back with another build, and this is gonna be the bleed build right after my poison build, which I enjoyed the poison build very much, and it was pretty easy to find a way to poison people, especially with the dagger, and then switching over to other weapons. But the bleed build, it was very hard to find a weapon to actually do bleed against someone. Here, you can see I had to hit him 4 times with a great scythe, which I would have killed him already. Like, without the bleed, he'd just be dead right now. So the bleed added like no benefit whatsoever. It just would have been better to just have a sharp scythe, and I don't think bleed would have been a factor in this. So you'll see me switch weapons throughout the video to different weapons, hopefully to actually encourage bleed to be useful, which you really can't find any weapon to actually be useful. Also, the R2 and the scythe, you need to actually aim that sometimes because it goes straight over their head. I recommend kind of aiming towards the right a little bit, because they'll probably be rolling to the right of you, or just being a little bit lower than the exact middle. It's mostly aimed for the head. It's hard to figure out the moveset of the scythe weapon art, because you'll most likely miss a lot of stuff, and it's really frustrating once you do. I think what really worked for me was the Grave Warden twin blades, and going hollowing and then applying bleed resins, which didn't work all the time. Like, there's some matches I did kill people before I even bleeded. See right there, that R2, it's one of the most frustrating things ever. He got off a full I think that's a gradual heal spell, so he'll just gradually heal. And I think later I try a curved sword, but I don't think it's in the video. I even tried just using the knife, which is pretty effective too, but you're literally only doing damage with a bleed, and just you have to get like 3 procs with bleed. Sometimes 2 works. They have low HP and no armor, so it just, bleeding people was like one of the hardest things to do. Sometimes just killing them outright with a sharp weapon is just way better. But I really like the build. I think the fashion souls was like the only viable. No, the fashion was like more viable than the build itself, to be fair. I think I could pull off the fashion more than I could pull off this build being actually good. And it was actually pretty hard to find armor to go well with a bleed type character. And you'll see what I use later on near the end of the video. At first I used Tears of Denial too. I thought it would go well with the build. Which actually saves me in this match now that I think about it, so maybe I was wrong. But eventually I got rid of Tears of Denial and spells altogether to add more luck. This build changed a lot, I would say, during its making. The most change I probably put to a build. And it had no wacky weapons included. It was supposed to be meant for actual PvP. I wasn't going around throwing broken weapons at anyone or trying to poison them and then get a good combo off as they tried to unpoison themselves. This was meant to actually do something, and look at that damage with a full weapon art combo. And as I can't trade shit, I was kind of hoping for a bleed out. I finally got it near the end. Accidentally, I don't have my emotes rung up well. Here's where I have the hollowing effect, which makes it do more damage than the bleed effect. Apparently here I forgot to add my Tears of Denial. See, I'm not really one for buffing every match. I find it just takes too much time to do stuff. I like to get right into the action. I'm very impatient, I feel like. I think that's my main problem with this game, is I'm just super impatient, and I want to be right in their face attacking. Resident's like the only thing I can do. If I have like 3 buffs, it's just not for me. Just sitting around buffing for 30 seconds makes me angry. I'll let other people do it. I'm not going to interrupt their buffs. You know, it's their build. I want to fight them at their strongest. But when I do it, it's just like, no, I can't. I can't just sit there, take 30 seconds to throw 3 buffs, put on a resin, drink some green blossoms. That just seems like I'm just trying too hard and just not enjoying the game if I have to take if I take more time buffing than I do killing my opponents sometimes. See, look at that. That should be right there. I think I did get a bleed off. Actually, no, I don't think I did. Just all that wasn't even bleeding, by the way. Yeah, because there's the bleed. It just really hard to bleed people in this game. And I think this was the best way to bleed someone, was hollowing weapons. I think eventually at the very end, I switched to bleed Grave Wardens to test it out, and I didn't like the results. It just didn't do enough damage, and it'd be mostly literally a bleed only build. And I think I sometimes did more damage with the black fire bombs than anything else. But I really, you know, the more I think about it, the more I'll say I actually enjoyed this build. But when I was playing it, I did not enjoy it, which makes me think that if you were to play it, you probably wouldn't enjoy it either. I did look up some videos of a poison bleed build, which it did both, which is poison daggers, poison grave warden, swords, twin swords, and you poison infuse that because it already has natural bleed on it, and then you put even more, I think, resin on it. I think you can put bleed resin, or yeah, bleed resin would probably be better than I don't know, either one you want to get procced first. And that sounds basically like both my builds into one with even less damage. I might try to go for that next time, but that'll probably be a build for a later day. Right now I'm focusing on a magic build, not pure magic. I was gonna go for pure magic, which sometimes I only use spells. Sometimes I switch to a dagger. You know, it's I think that's my favorite build so far, is a pure magic, maybe a little dagger to get those annoying people who just wait for your mana to run out. FP, whatever it's called. I'm not gonna call it FP. It's mana. What am I talking about? It's basically what mana is supposed to be. I actually enjoy this really fight the most because it's actually someone. I say actually a lot. I just realized. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna say it a lot more. You can't tell me how to speak. American language isn't even a language. It's 3 languages disguised as one. You have this guy who's actually cosplaying, as you can tell, as the Firekeeper, and playing in an area that looks like the Firekeeper, so I actually really enjoyed that. He's using only the short sword, which would be great if I might actually steal his idea now that I think about it. If you just switch weapons periodically to different weapons that the Fire Lord would kind of use. Right there, he fucked up. But I think cosplay builds of characters in game or at a game are some of the funnest things, but they're already all over the internet. I'm actually just doing different builds with the weapons in the game, trying to use different weapons. And that's really fun to me because some weapons are so underused, and most people in this game think that there's weapons that are way better than the other, which is totally true. I have used weapons that are better than the weapons I use in the build, like the Broken Knight build using a Claymore, so much better. But I did it because I liked the bastard. I just wanted to use it. If I can't use every weapon in the game, how am I going to call myself good at this game if I only use the best weapons? I think this guy's what inspired me to use a pure magic build, because I see the Logan hat everywhere, and I'm just like, why do people use this if they're not going to throw magic at me? Like, it's the Logan hat. He's the boy. He's the Magic King. But this build was really, in hindsight, looking at it looks fun, but when you play it, it's not fun. It's just not. It's not the build that I want to keep playing after this. That goes with some of my other builds. The Poison build was fun, I'll admit that. Storm King was fun to get some hits with the Storm Ruler. This one, it was just so frustrating to get that bleed. I think that's what I was aiming for too much too, instead of actually just doing damage. I just wanted to trade bleed blows. Surprise the heck out of them. But we'll get straight into the armor set and the weapons I used along the way. So right here, I'm using the Scythe, the Whip, the Grave Warden, Twin Blades, some pokey weapons to finish people off, Flameberg I never used, but I did Bleed Infuse it at one point. I wanted to try it out. Dark Mass, Wolf Knight Armor, Gauntlet of Thorns, and Herald Trousers. The rings, the Wolf the Ring 3, I use it a lot to have my poise past 21, which allows me to tank some small weapons. Sometimes. Not all the time. I've seen it happen a couple times. Not all the time. And the bleed resistance to the hollow swords allows you to actually bleed people a lot faster. Probably you hit them with your weapon art twice and then hit them one more time, it should bleed them out. Same thing using your L1s twice, then hitting them with a R1 should bleed them out most of the time. It takes a couple hits, sadly. 5 to 4 hits sometimes, depending on their armor, sometimes 6 if you're really unlucky and they start running away. What surprised me the most is people actually used the red moss to like reset their bleed, because they were that afraid of the bleed. And it made me smile sometimes, because I'm just like, I guess it is in the game so you can use it. It just made me laugh, because I'm like, you're scared of bleed. There I'm just trying to show you that the hitbox of the weapon art is terrible. Like, it's just terrible. There I hit him. I'm actually surprised I hit that. But the weapon art just not working out half the time. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing more damage with my rolls with Gauntlet of Thorns than my actual scythe. I'm gonna do an actual scythe build one day, because I think scythes are my favorite weapon class. That's why I had the idea of this. But I want to thank y'all for watching. Look forward to that pure magic build, and see you next time.